Let's start, though, with Chelsea, who are through to the Champions League final to face Manchester City after they beat Real Madrid 2-0 last night, 3-1 on aggregate. And Thomas Tuchel says despite missing several chances to score, the spirit in the side saw them through.
What another energetic performance, full of positive attitude, full of hunger. What a spirit to show in moments where we needed to suffer in first half, and what a reaction in second half. And the heads were never down, heads were always up, even after these big chances that we missed, always stayed positive. We outworked them today with pure intensity and work rate, so it's a lot that this team can produce day in, day out, and makes me very happy.
There we go. The thoughts of Thomas Tuchel. Let's get the thoughts of Mark and Eddie. Eddie, let's come to you. You know what it's like to mastermind not only a Champions League semi-final win, but also, the trophy itself. So Chelsea through to the Champions League. How big an achievement is this for Thomas Tuchel?
Very big. He's come in midway through the season. Chelsea were floundering in the league, and it didn't look like the season was going to end in a good way for the club. And all of a sudden, he's grabbed the club by the horns, and he's steering it in the right direction. And he's done a fantastic job getting into 2 finals now and sitting in 4th position in the league. So it's a fantastic achievement in such a short time.
So many good performances in that Chelsea side, Mark, not just last night, but over the 2 legs as well. But let's start with one who really featured in that second leg, and that's Kai Havertz, who made the side over Christian Pulisic. And hard lines on Pulisic. But after that performance against Fulham, it was Tuchel left with no other choice, really, but to put Havertz in there.
I don't think it was a case of no other choice. It was really a tactical decision, and that's what he said also in his pre-match conference, was about the fact that Kai Havertz adds something a little bit different. He's obviously got more of a physical presence. He, if they need to, Chelsea at times to look a bit long, to look for someone to try and hold the ball up, win those important little flick-ons, Kai Havertz is more than capable of doing it. And I think yesterday evening he more than justified the selection. I thought he was very, very good. His work rate, I don't think was ever questioned. It was more about how effective he could be in a game. And I thought last night was an indication of, what Chelsea fans are going to expect from Kai Havertz in the future. And I think this could be the turning point. Yes, Fulham was where he scored 2 goals, but this could be the turning point where he really goes on and kicks on from here.
Yeah, he's taken time to settle since arriving, but Eddie, there's a but, isn't there? We've had a pandemic. He's been in, lockdown in a foreign country. He's also suffered perhaps more than others from COVID when he caught that. So how tough must it have been? And last night he wasn't unwilling to rough it up, even with the likes of Sergio Ramos at times, was he?
No, look, I know for a fact that Chelsea have been looking at Havertz for a long, long time, and they have a big admiration for him, and finally got him. But obviously, everything doesn't go to plan sometimes when you arrive at a new club. It's difficult sometimes, and arriving at a big club like Chelsea, playing in a big league like the Premier League, it's difficult sometimes. The transition is difficult sometimes. And also, everyone's got to remember, this is not his natural position that he's really playing in. He's playing up as a striker. He's used to playing as more of an 8 and driving from midfield. So there's a lot of connotations to why it hasn't gone so well in the beginning. But now we're starting to see the player that we all know at Chelsea. Well, I say we, that everyone knows at Chelsea. That is, I think he's just only going to get better and better.
Okay, so that's Kai Havertz. I guess, Mark, a goal will always justify a selection, but in Timo Werner, the choice to play him, because he could have perhaps dropped out for Pulisic to go into the side. What was the thinking about Werner, and how much was that rewarded?
Well, I think it was pretty obvious and a pretty simple decision to bring him in the side. I'll keep him in the side I think a lot of it's to do with the fact that his work rate is exceptional. It's not through lack of effort. It's not through lack of making those runs. He makes some really good runs. I mean, we know, he had a goal ruled out, and rightfully early on in the game. It's all about the movement. A lot of their play going forward actually ends up going through him at some stage. So I don't think the decision was difficult. The frustrating side of things is him not really being as productive in terms of the goal return. But if you look at his assists in goals involvement, it's right up there. I think it's the most in the Chelsea side.
He had the ball in the net after 18 minutes, Eddie, and much was made of the fact that he could well have looked along the line and maybe have timed his run a bit better from that. I know these are nitpicking here, isn't it? But is this a sign of a player who perhaps is thinking too much about his football rather than letting it come naturally to him? And is that a sign perhaps that his confidence isn't as high as it could be?
It's normal. It's normal because, you got to remember he's not scoring goals. He's a striker. You need it for confidence. Seeing that he should have seen along the line, he was central. I don't think he could have seen along the line. He's just looking at the ball. He's trying to time his run. He most probably went early because he's desperate to get in there and trying to score. So it's little signs, but at the end of the day, he's still getting in the position. The confidence is, if you're still getting in the position to miss or try and score, then you're doing the right thing. It's when strikers are not getting in the position, they start hiding. That's when you know their confidence is really low. So he's still trying to do the right thing. And as Mark quite rightly said, his assist rate and his involvement into the build-up of attacks is very high. So I don't think it's a confidence issue. It's just one of those things. It will come, and he has to keep working at it, and it will come eventually.
Any other comparisons to the likes of Fernando Torres? He obviously had a really good goal-scoring record when he was at Liverpool, then came to Chelsea and did struggle at times. I'm seeing the comparisons because Fernando worked his socks off, as with Timo Werner. And what did you say to him? How did you try and work with him when you were there?
Well, I think the difference with Fernando, he was so used to Alonso and Gerrard behind him, playing balls in behind the defence, and it suited his style a little bit more. Where the difference when he came to Chelsea, then you have Mata, Oscar, Hazard, Willian, these kind of players that want to play the ball into your feet and do combination plays, which wasn't Nando's real game. Nando's game was running in behind the defence, and that's why he was done so well at Liverpool. So we had to work with Nando, and he was really open to working with it. His confidence was low at one point, and we Steve Holland and myself really worked with him, helping him with the build-up and the combination play, and looking at the alternatives to try and improve that style of play for him, which was against his style of play.
And he didn't score a bad goal, did he, in a Champions League semi-final? From what I remember, Eddie just giving a little nod there and a little hello. Yeah, memories coming back. Talking about players that have been worked with at Chelsea, Eddie, Mason Mount with the second there. How pleased were you to see him getting that goal? What will it mean to him, or what does it mean to the club?
It means everything. He's been at the club since a baby. He's Chelsea through and through. I worked closely with him on the loan process, and he went through the loan process very quickly, and we could see without a doubt that he's one of those players that we're going to bring back home. It just seems like whatever level you put Mason into, every level he steps up to, he's able to adjust and be able to compete without a doubt and excel, not just compete, excel. He's now the driving force within that Chelsea side, going forward. And he's always a threat, but his work rate is exceptional as well for the team. He's not just an individual that can score goals. He's a team player and works extremely hard for the team. And I liked, I don't know if anyone noticed, but after the game, the way he was not, he kept his reserve, and after the game, he didn't over celebrate on the pitch. And he's a young guy, you got to remember, and he could have, scored in the semi-final of the Champions League. He could have got a little bit carried away, but he contained himself and conducted himself really well after the game. And that just shows how mature he is and how much he's developing as a footballer and a young man.
Is it a surprise to you, Eddie, that he's actually taken it on board so quickly? And at ease, he looks like he's been a seasoned pro. Nothing seems to phase him out.
No, Mark. If you know the boy, he's just got this instinct to step up to the mark whenever he needs to. Whatever level, as I say, whatever level he's been asked to go and compete at, he's gone in and excelled. He's very strong mentally, and that's one of his big characteristics. He's very strong mentally and able to take on information well and able to deliver, and he doesn't get fazed by the enormity of whatever competition he walks into. So whether it's he's fighting for a position in the team or the competition that he's playing against or in. So no, it doesn't surprise me at all, Mark.
Every silver lining has a cloud, Mark, doesn't it? If you're a pessimist or whatever. The fact that Chelsea missed so many chances, okay, there is a positive you can draw for that. At least they're getting in the positions to score them. But going forward, will City allow them to have that many chances in a Champions League final? And is there a fear that Chelsea need to start taking these, or they could pay the price?
Well, that's always a fear, isn't it? I mean, it depends on which way you spin it. To get yourself in a great position as often as Chelsea did. I mean, you go back to the FA Cup final, semi-final where Chelsea beat Manchester City. They had a couple of chances. It wasn't just the one chance, and they took it. More often than not, teams do need a couple of chances. Only the top teams or teams that just have one of those nights are able to take all their opportunities when they're presented with it. Listen, I think it's a big positive. You listened to Thomas Tuchel after the game, and he talked about the attitude, the mental attitude of Chelsea and how they were able to continue going. I mean, I was at the game last night, and I also wondered, were the continuous opportunities and misses going to actually have any effect on them mentally? And it didn't. They kept going. They were relentless. They kept pushing forward, kept going for those chances. Nothing deterred them, and in the end, they benefited from it.